West Virginia, 9-9 in Big 12 play. They beat BYU, but they're about to get screwed out of this dance, aren't they?
I'm angry. I'm angry, man. Someone has to help me understand how a team who is getting a bye in the Big 12 tournament, West Virginia, who is 18-13 overall, 7th in the Big 12 conference, is not in March Madness. Okay. And look, in a vacuum, somebody out there is saying, oh, well, of course they're not good enough. Auburn. Listen to this. This is a tweet from Jack John Sammy on Twitter. Alabama jumps from Joe Lunardi's 15th overall team to 10th overall team with a win at home this last week over Auburn. Auburn at 16-15 with 2 quad 2 losses and a quad 3 loss, as well as barely beating in overtime Bethune-Cookman is in the field. Auburn's in March Madness. West Virginia, they're not in the last 4 in, the first 4 out, the next 4 out. They're somewhere way buried super deep by Joe Lunardi in the ether so that you can never find them. How? Okay, listen, just hear the metrics. Here's what's confusing me. The same West Virginia team that just beat BYU and they were ranked in the top 20, that beat UCF 77-62. They had a skid. They lost at home to Utah. They've lost some bad games, but hey, so has Auburn, and so has Santa Clara. So have the teams Joe Lunardi has in his bubble, like SMU or VCU. For West Virginia, they are the 7th team in the Big 12. Iowa State is the 5th team in the Big 12, okay? Iowa State currently grades out as a 2 seed in March Madness, but West Virginia is not in the field. How could you be a spot behind a 2 seed in March Madness, yet you don't even get a bubble distinction to go to the big dance? How do you finish up 3 spots above BYU, who's a 6 seed in March Madness, yet you do not have the respect? You finished above the 6 seed in conference play. You beat them 3 games ago, yet you don't get to be in the NCAA tournament. Oh, and by the way, not only do you not get to attend the tournament, we're not even going to talk about you having the possibility to be in the tournament. TJ, this is the same West Virginia team that's got pretty strong, like they went on the road across the country to beat Arizona State. They went on the road and beat UCF. They went on the road and beat Cincinnati. Arizona, I mean, that Arizona State win, they've proven themselves. They beat Kansas earlier this year. They've proven themselves against opponents on the road and at home. Auburn, TJ, we're letting Auburn in, but we can't let West Virginia enjoy the big dance again. They got snubbed last year. They'll be snubbed again.
Well, you asked the question, and I know you asked it hypothetically, but the answer is the reason they're not getting the consideration is because they have the wrong conference logo on their chest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is. You know, you look at the metrics, you look at the way they grade out, you look at the wins that they've had, the quality, they're getting penalized for playing the Big 12, which is a great basketball conference. Like, if you want to say whatever you want, like you're a homer for the Big 12. I get it. And then I take a pretty pro Big 12 stance. I'm not out here fighting that the Big 12 is the best conference in college football. I'm just not, right? Like, I'm not an idiot. I understand, anybody that argues against the Big 10 right now is kind of crazy, but I'm not arguing that. But when you look at where the Big 12 is from a conference standpoint and the number of elite and great and then really good teams that this conference has and the storylines, I mean, look at UCF this year. When you look at what the Big 12 has done, not just this year, multiple years now, I think it is so disrespectful to, I don't know that West Virginia is a blue blood, but like West Virginia is a historically great basketball program. And so we're not talking about, flash in the pan, good 1 year. We need to see it multiple years, which is not really how tournament time should be decided anyway. But we're talking about a great basketball program that is completely getting the shaft. And again, it's because they don't have the conference logo. If they had, if you replace some of those big Big 12 wins with some of the mid-tier SEC teams, those would have just meant more.
Right. If you go on the road and you beat Texas, then Correct. You're in. If you win at home against
go beat all these other teams.
Win at home against Auburn or LSU, then you're in. At that point, we like you. We want you to succeed. We want you in our tournament. But if you play in the Big 12, you don't get that. You don't have that liberty. It's confusing, and you're right. It's just a logos games. But so West Virginia, TJ. This is again. I want to detail how absurd this is. They are 18-13. Auburn is 16-15. West Virginia in the Big 12. They ended up finishing on the top half of the Big 12 conference this year, and they're going into the Big 12 tournament with a bye. Auburn was 7-11 in SEC play. Again, we're talking about an Auburn team that's above West Virginia in going to March Madness. Net ranking, West Virginia, even the net is still hovering around where the bubble is. I have an even bigger question, by the way, because for some reason Auburn is 38th in net. Both of these teams are top 5. They have 5 quad wins. Auburn and West Virginia both have the same number of quad 5 wins, or quad 1 wins, I should say, with 5. I don't get how their net disparity is there. And it raises a bigger question. When we weight these things, net, strength of schedule, RPI, college football is the same way, TJ. When we weight those things, we weight it because Alabama was number 3 to start the year. So Florida State beat the number 3 team in the country. Did they actually? No, they beat the number 12 team in the country. And then we give Virginia props for beating the number 11 team in the country. Was Florida State really the number 11 team in the country? No, of course they weren't. But because of the way net works, because of the way the ESPN strength of schedule works, guess what? We only count what you did and how good they were at the time, even though it's a completely absurd way to, LSU gets a ton of credit for beating Clemson. Why? They both sucked, But for some reason, these algorithms are built so that, if you play in the SEC and you are perceived to be a good team before you even played a snap of football, we're going to give our basketball, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. That's a broken system. We talk about NIL being broken, the portal being broken. There's a lot broken to how we're handling college football and college basketball from a resume standpoint that needs to be reformatted, needs to be studied, needs to be changed.
Talk about how good the Big 12 is. Do you want to try and give some hope that West Virginia could reel off a few wins in this thing and maybe play their way in? I'm not saying, obviously, if they win the whole thing, that's not even the point that I'm making, because then obviously they'd be in.
Right.
But are there enough wins to be had against quality teams in the Big 12 tournament for the Mountaineers?
Yeah, I think BYU will knock off Kansas State in the first game on Tuesday. And then after that one, I think West Virginia, who just beat BYU, has a leg up on the Cougars. They should be able to beat BYU again. And we already know the Cougars are getting into the NCAA tournament, so West Virginia winning that is going to give them a further boost. Then they run into Houston. And the only way they're beating Houston is if the Cougars decide, hey, we need rest. Let's reacclimate before we go into March Madness. We don't need the Big 12 tournament. Or if West Virginia, let's just say, has a hot shooting day and they knock off the Cougars, dang. Now you're playing probably Kansas in the semifinal. And I know Kansas wins a lot in the Big 12 tournament, but I don't mind that for West Virginia. Darren Peterson saga, as that continues to unfold, I don't mind that matchup for WVU. They need to get through Houston, and getting through BYU is no easy task. But you win one of those games, you win both of those games, you should squarely be in that conversation. And TJ, somebody told me, an ESPN employee told me, they said the reason Joe Lunardi puts teams where he puts them is he knows the rooting interest of that room is what's going to sway this thing. It's Bubba Cunningham was in there last year. North Carolina got in. He's the UNC AD who ran the thing. If that's the case, the room they're human. They're going to err on the side of their friends. Oh, my friend is the AD at Santa Clara. My friend is the AD at Auburn. I love Bruce Pearl. He's my best friend from high school. They're going to let those teams in because of their personal rooting interests. That's why Lunardi's leaving West Virginia out. He knows that room. He knows that room is not going to favor a Mountaineers team that's deserving.
Need a couple of wins from WVU. It starts today. This comes out on Tuesday, so go get it done. What can people do to follow you and find your work, Drake?
Yep, at Locked On Big 12, wherever you find your podcast, at Drake C. Toll Show on Twitter. Hit follow, hang out, come for partially good takes sometimes.
Appreciate you, man.
Always fun, TJ.